And we're live. Thank you, everyone. We just finished the transfer show over on the other. I was going to say over on the main channel. Then we've only got one channel, but over on the other channel, we've just finished the transfer show, and we're opening up the platform to you guys. There is a link if you need to say something, if you want to say something. I'm going to be taking you in one by one. I'm not going to ask any questions. You just pitch me or say to me what you want to do, and we'll have a little chat about it. We've got Harry, who's first up. He's come in. Let's get him in. Harry, are you there, mate? Harry?
Sorry, mate. I have my mic muted.
No worries at all. Welcome to the show, mate. What do you want to say?
To be honest, you're probably going to hear it like another 15 times, but someone's got to start it off somewhere, didn't they? So, to be honest, I just looked at a stat really. It's shocking on Twitter. I think Newcastle have been linked to 8 players in the last 48 hours, and they've signed 4 of them. And we're sitting there, and it's just like the way I'm coming from my perspective, which I can only say, I was like, well, my friends are they all support big teams, and I'm like, obviously West Ham ain't that much of a big team, and we're finally just getting close, and the one thing that literally how long ago it was, like I see an account on Twitter, it's 338 days since Haller's gone or something like that, and it's something stupid.
I think it's over a year, mate. I think
I don't know. And when you were slating Haller in the lives, I was out of all my. To be fair, I've got about 6 West Ham mates, and I'll be honest, they was all saying, "Why does he slate him?" And I was the only one that was saying, "No, I'll back you on that." About Haller, I absolutely didn't like him, and since he's got. I'd take him back tomorrow, wouldn't you? If we had to bring a striker, I'd bring him in tomorrow. He's better than no one, though, isn't he?
To be honest, I don't like Sebastian Haller. I don't like. I didn't like him as a player in our system. I don't like him as a player in our team. I thought, and I genuinely think this. And I know a load of people are going to slate me. They might even slate me tonight. But I think pound for pound for what we've ever signed, I think he's one of the worst signings we've ever made. Because we wasted that much money.
In a West Ham shirt, I can see what you're coming from.
Yeah, he just did not work in our system. Just didn't
I agree.
Work.
I agree.
And it just shows you that, I've been saying for time and time again that we need to get someone that's going to improve the side. That's how you go forward. You improve. You don't get someone to have a backup and all that. Antonio's a good player. I love Antonio. But if you want to start improving, you've got to look past like nostalgia or any sort of bias towards the players that you like and all that. You want to get players to improve. Like if Messi come up tomorrow or Ronaldo come up tomorrow, would you be saying, well, we don't really need Messi, Antonio, because we've got Antonio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you want to improve. And if you want to improve, look at Tottenham, what Tottenham done today.
I know.
Ndombele there, they paid a lot of money for him. They shipped him out, and they got 2 midfielders in. They shipped out Lo Celso as well. Players that just didn't work for them, but they're looking to improve. They're looking to move to the next step. We've sat still, and
literally,
we all know the tail of the rabbit and the hare, mate. And if you sit still, and if you don't go anywhere, no matter how far people are behind you, they can always overtake you, mate. It's. I think today is shambolic.
No, yeah, I was saying to my friends before I joined, I genuinely think we will look back at this day maybe in May and I'll think that there was I won't say the first sign because we've seen the squad slowly crumbling over the last few games, but that is a checkpoint where we go, because let's be honest, like we know our active Declan Rice is on socials and what's been going on recently with TalkSport and Sky Sports, and whenever West Ham is mentioned on any type of talk show about transfers, the first thing is how desperate we are for a striker. Everyone knows that. Desperate. And let's be honest, the players are going to know, aren't they? Rice, Bowen, they're going to know what we need. And to think we've had like 31 days, and imagine the players coming on Twitter today, you're thinking, of course there's a group chat, there must be some type of conversation going on, like we're bringing a player, he's coming in, something's happening. And just like I can't imagine like the training ground tomorrow, when they go into train, what is the vibe going to be? What is the feeling? Are we going like, because there's only a certain level you can push yourself to motivational wise before you think, right, like I don't know about you, I felt sorry for that Man United game for Declan Rice, because I felt like he was every time we lost the ball. But I don't know if this is me personally. I'm just looking at Declan Rice, maybe because he's so much better than our team. I I feel like the team are letting him down when they're probably not. It's probably because I love him so much and I think he's so good. Every time, like, I've seen it when Dawson made a bad pass in the Manchester United game. He looked so fed up, and I'm just thinking, like, treading on eggshells. Please don't annoy him, because I just don't want him to go. But you can't do that, can you?
No,
You
you're
can't do
absolutely
that.
right, mate. No, you're absolutely right. Harry, thank you so much for coming on, mate. I'm just going to
Cheers, mate. Have a good stream.
And you, mate. Thank you so much for coming on. Right, let's get the next one on. I believe Elias was in here first, so let's get Elias in. Elias, what do you want to say, mate?
Hello, Nicky. You doing? You right?
I'm good,
Yeah.
thank you.
You can hear me? So yeah, just I was actually watching the live show from you guys. I wasn't watching like Sky Sports News or anything like that.
Thank you.
And I heard a lot of complaints, and it's been a crazy day of transfers. There are so many clubs, getting over the line with all their businesses and stuff.
Yep.
And I feel like this is the last day that we haven't got anyone, so I didn't really think we were going to get anything in the end. But I think there's a lot more positives to take out from this. Like, we're still in Europa League, like in the last 16, and we're still fifth in the league. A lot of people say like we've bottled the race for the top four, we've bottled the race for the Europa League, but I don't think that's the case. I mean, like, we're fifth in the league right now, and there's only about 15 games to go. 2 years ago we were in a relegation battle, and just 1 year later we end up getting in Europe. Miracles can happen, so you can't just fold your arms and say, look, it's not going to happen. Give up. Just.
But because
David Moyes can do it. He's done it before, so he can do it.
I understand, and I like your positivity, and we did say sort of that on the live stream as well.
Yeah.
But what I would say there is we didn't get over the line last year. We didn't. Lack of striker was one of the reasons. Injuries towards the end of the season. We lost Rice. We lost Antonio for a little while, and ultimately that cost us. But we did have Jesse Lingard, who came in and he was on fire. There is no Jesse Lingard coming in this window. There is nothing to support. What we've got is what we've got right now. Unless there's someone out there, some superstar or some kid, some Harry Kane waiting in the wings, which I'll be honest, I looked at the youth, I can't really see. But if there's some superstar out there that ain't got a club for some reason, we've still got a chance. But there is no nucleus of that. And even with Jesse Lingard last year, nearly 10 goals in however many games it was for us, we still didn't get over the line. It just shows you how finely balanced it is. It just shows you that how finely balanced that, taking that step is. And we've taken those steps forward. In fact, I'd argue with I know Moyes, he's done a brilliant job, but he's got the same ammunition, if not less, this year. It would take an absolute miracle. And as I said, you've got teams like Spurs, now Everton, Aston Villa. I don't know what Wolves done today. I didn't really look at Wolves, but they're all up our arse, and they can all be up our arse within a few games. We've just lost a couple of games. Mood in the camp is going to be down, and they haven't done anything, which is, I think, is farcical. But Elias, I really appreciate your call, mate. Let me get on to the next one, otherwise we're never going to get through them all. There's so many people coming in, but thank you for joining us. Let's have a go with. I think this guy was next. He hasn't got. He's muted his mic. Let me just see. It's WHU98. Are you there? I don't want you to miss your opportunity, bud. You've got your mic muted. All right, I'm going to move on to the next one. I'll come back to you if you can sort that out. James.
Hi there.
How you, mate?
I'm good. How you doing?
Where are you going in the car?
Just come home from the gym, but I'm good and parking up in a minute, so I've got time to talk.
Okay, buddy.
Don't worry.
What do you want to say?
Driving. What I want to say about transfer window is, when I look at the whole team, I just think about how we can forward progress, not just for this season, but for years to come. So, we've got an aging squad, as we all know. We've got high players on massive wages. Just think, if we really want to attract any players to the club, we need to have a younger depth and a younger core. The club itself can already be very good for a sales pitch because we're based in London, a big cosmopolitan footballing city, and we're in Europe. So those two things will naturally, you'd think, draw players towards West Ham. And the amount of players we were linked with at the start of the window were players of very class calibre, but not necessarily ones that I think clubs would be willing to sell during a transfer window because of, different things going on, whether it be promotion races, relegation fights, whatever. We have to plan for the future because right now we've got a lot of players out of contract. You've got Lanzini's up in a year. You've got players like Yarmolenko, Fabianski. Their contracts are running out. Masuaku's got a contract running out. So if we all told by the end of next summer, we'd probably be left with, if you're looking at Rice and Bone leaving as well, about 14 players in the senior team. So, we need that depth. And that's the difference between us and other teams, as we said after the Man United game, was the depth. This is the thing with teams. They've got striker options. We don't. Like United have about 4 strikers. Leicester have like 3. And those teams are the ones who can bring on players who can actually change games. And we don't really have that with our team. We don't have the depth. We just bring on the same players literally every week, i.e. Yarmolenko and Masuaku, and even Fornals coming on all the week. And teams have sussed us out. We need somebody who can give competition. And that's why the thing with having the lack of depth is we have no competition. Moyes talks about it, but he talks the talk, he don't walk the walk. He won't get anyone unless it's the right players.
Yeah.
And the consequence of looking for the right players and pissing about, for lack of a better word, is we end up losing loads of targets. I mean, I don't want to get on Moyes' back, but he has to partially take the blame in this window for not being proactive enough. Other managers we've had in the past, like Bilic and Pellegrini, they had the flaws, but at least they had striker depth, especially. At least they didn't get all their business done the last day of the window. I think Moyes is going to end up running players ragged, as we've seen. Antonio's not going to last. Antonio, Bowen, Zuma, any of them go down, we're screwed. We have no one who can back up for them. January was a chance to correct that and push on for top 4. We have 31 days, which is more than enough time, and we've bollocked it.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I mean, you spoke about the strikers there. Somebody told me earlier, now I haven't verified this, but I'm thinking through my head, and I honestly can't think of anybody since. But apparently the last proper striker we bought was Albion Ayeti.
Jesus. Yeah.
That was the last proper striker we bought. We've been desperate for a striker. Haller left over a year ago.
Yeah.
Don made a good point. The window's shut now, unless we bring in someone on a free, which Diego Costa, I think, is available. But the fact he's sitting there without a club tells you volumes about sort of the sort of ability he's got now. But when you look at it in a whole, it's farcical. This is a professional football club. This is a professional football club that are charging people fucking top dollar to go and watch their football team, and they haven't got a fucking full team of players. That's the way it goes. Yeah, we can all field an 11. I can field an 11 with my mates around the block, but they haven't got a recognised centre forward, and they haven't bought one, and they're charging us 40, 50, 60, 70 quid to go to watch a Europa League game. Earning £2.5 million per game for that. They've got extra prize money, and they have sat on their heels today. Now, I don't blame the board. I don't blame Moyes. I blame the board. Now, I know that there's going to be different people in different walks of life that are saying maybe I'm biased because I've got questions against the board and all that sort of thing. But he would have identified players. I've got no doubt about that. It's down to them to go and buy them. And that's where the problem seems to lie. It's the purchasing of players. It's not identifying the players, because we've all seen the links, we've all seen the names, we've all seen this. It's down to the board to go and, get them. You give your mum the shopping list, she gets the shopping. But if she thinks the Twixes are too dear, she's not going to buy the fucking Twixes. And that's basically what we've got. That's the situation that we've got right now. Is the fact that he's obviously identified players. We've been caleta-car fans for a little while now. He's had centre forwards like Nunes that he's put. The ball just wouldn't stump up the money. They just wouldn't. It's fact. He hasn't got control over the finances. Maybe I'm being biased. Maybe I'm being that, but James, thank you so much for your call, mate. I really appreciate that. I've got to get through you all because I wish I could talk more, but there's lots of people. But thank you very much for coming in. Let's get through these. Gio.
Good evening.
Good evening. What do you want to say, mate?
Oh, what a shambles, Nicky. What a shambles. The whole thing. The lack of signing. The way, I guess, the club, to some extent, have conducted themselves in the transfer window. Whether it be the phantom bids, whether it be leaving it late to bid on players, whether it's chasing for players that we can't get. Everything's just been a disaster from start to finish, really. I think it's riskier to not just sign someone and get it wrong than it is to sign nobody, given this situation that we're in at the club. If we were 12th in the Premier League, Nicky, I would agree with signing no one and say, yeah, keep your money for the summer. There's no need to spend money today, but we're in such a good position. And I think this is the frustration that we have something to capitalize on. And we're not normally in this position. Normally we get worried in January that we're in a relegation battle. We're not making signings to get out of the bloody thing. Here we are with a chance of possibly qualifying for European football back-to-back. And we still might. Right, I accept we still might, but I think we've just made it a little bit more difficult for ourselves than we perhaps needed to. Or at the very least, we could have aided our challenge for qualifying for European football back-to-back, which would have been enormous for West Ham. You know, we got lured, dragged, kicking and screaming, if you like, to the London Stadium with the promise of next level football. And I actually think over the last 18 months under Moyes, we've put one foot on the next level. You look at his steps, if you like. I think we've put one foot on there. We've got European football. We're there. Brilliant. To take the other step up to the next level is by adding consistency, by showing that this isn't a flash in the pan, that we can compete for European football season in, season out kind of thing. And I just think this window is an opportunity for us to help take that final step, to add that consistency. And I'm just disappointed, frustrated, angry to some extent that Moyes has worked wonders with the squad he's got, because we don't have the fifth best team in the Premier League. On paper, we don't have the fifth best starting 11. We certainly don't have the fifth best bench in the Premier League on a Saturday afternoon. So Moyes has had us punching above our weight, but he needs a little bit of help now, which is giving him the players that can get us the fifth best team in the Premier League. He's going to have to work wonders for the rest of the season, I think, to be honest with you, because if he can keep this squad that we've got now and qualify for European football again, I'll almost call it genius, to be honest with you.
I agree. The thing about this window is, we're all angry, we're all disappointed, but we know Moyes can work miracles. And we look, as we said on our show there, we've got to have a lot of luck now with injuries. That's basically what cost us last year with a similar squad. The Rice and the Antonio injury absolutely killed us in the end. And we ended up 2 points off of a Champions League place, which is commendable. And again, he's moved into this season again in a similar vein. We've done really well. We've punched above our weight. We're competing on all sides. But what I would say, Gio, is looking at that, looking at this season, as I just said to the last caller, is that there was a in January we was faltering like we are now. And we had that little kick up the arse with Jesse Lingard. He came in and he reinvigorated the place, and everyone started believing again. And they've gone and done nothing. And basically the players are going to come in tomorrow. They're not going to see sort of a Man United player sitting on a doorstep thinking, "Fucking hell, they're serious, West Ham." They're going to go in there and thinking, "Jesus, they've done nothing. They've done absolutely nothing." And this could work in the opposite way that it did last year, because there is nobody to sort of like freshen the place up. There's nobody, and you see it over the our home form has been in the grand scheme of things, it's been poor. We've not won a lot of games at the London Stadium this year. We've lost to some shite, to be quite honest with you, and I mean that with the greatest respect to them. But I would put this to you before I let you go, mate, is that who's to blame?
I think this is the problem. I think everybody's to blame to some extent. I think every person will blame different people as well. You do a poll. Is it just that guy? Is it a combination? I think it would be quite split. I think it would be easier if there was one person that was at fault here, because you can rectify that much easier than it is. Personally, I'm going to give Rob Newman a bit of a pass, which may not be too popular, but I think he's only been here for 3 months. And there was no infrastructure. He had to set up a whole new scouting team. He had to go recruit Grant Holt and Georges Santos from Marseille and stuff. And I'm sort of thinking, well, I'm going to give him a little bit of time, Rob Newman. I want to see in the summer what Rob Newman's done. But I'm going to blame David Moyes and David Sullivan. Not necessarily one more than the other or equally, but as a partnership, I'm going to blame them both as a duo, because this is something that's got evidence. We've seen in the past David Moyes, not even at West Ham, at Everton. Everton fans called him Dithering Dave for a reason, because he took ages to decide his targets. So you've got that. You've got evidence of Moyes taking a while. And then we've had evidence of David Sullivan. You go back to Sporting Lisbon with the way he handled the negotiations over William Carvalho. You know, we had the Portuguese owners calling them the Dildo Brothers and basically calling them out and saying, prove you bid for him. And Sullivan leaked it to Sky Sports thinking it was a good thing, when it was just shocking, the style of bid. So we've got evidence that the manager takes a while to decide players and who he wants to go to and make up his mind on his targets. And we've got evidence that David Sullivan's not very good at negotiating. So when you combine the two, I think it's a bloody dangerous thing, to be honest with you. When the manager maybe takes 2 weeks of the transfer window before he says to his boss, this is who I would like, please. And then the boss has only got 2 weeks to go, but he's also crap at negotiating. I think it's a horrendous setup between the two of them. And we've seen this before at West Ham. We've seen it in the summer, no striker. We've seen it last January with Elias going, no striker coming in. So I don't see how you can blame Rob Newman. You can maybe blame Rob Newman for not changing it. But the fact is, we've seen this in the past when Moyes and Sullivan have been at the fore. And I'm going to blame them both again as a partnership. I think they should be working as a team. I've seen bollocks on that website today sort of suggesting that if Kretinsky wasn't here, Sullivan would have signed someone. Oh, piss off. They should be working as a team. Stop the blame game. The fans will blame people. But that lot, the board, the management, the people employed by West Ham United, should be a unit, win together, lose together kind of thing. And Moyes has installed that mentality within the playing squad. It's just a bloody pity the boardroom can't have that mentality when it comes to them in the management, because they should be like that. You don't see Pep Guardiola calling out the Man City owners or vice versa. They do it together as a team, win together, lose together. And that's what I think it comes down to. The one thing I will just point out just quickly, because I know you had an issue with the pricing for the Europa League thing. What I will say is I think it's a bit cheeky at best by the club to say to fans, stump up your money before you know who you've got in the Europa League, or we'll sell your seat kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So they're basically saying, invest in the club, be loyal to the club, support our ambitions by giving us your cash. Then they're going to do fuck all with it in the January transfer window. Hang on a minute, are you serious about European football or not here? Because you're asking the fan base to back you financially, which I kind of get. But then at least go and do something. At least show the fans why you're charging them early, why you're adding an extra tenner onto their seat for the Europa League game. Go and prove it by going and getting players in the January transfer window. Justify your actions. All they've done today is justify the frustration and anger among the fan base and doubts over David Sullivan as a chairman and Moyes dithering with his transfer targets. Fans' fears have been proven tonight and this transfer window, and it's not bloody good, Nicky.
No, I agree, mate. But thank you so much for coming on. I've still got so many callers, but I really appreciate it, mate. Thank you very much. If you're in the waiting room here, make sure your mic. I can see Waxy here and WHU98. Look, you're taking up a space. It doesn't look like you're ready to go because your mic's not muted. Oh, Wagsy's just put his mic on. Let's get Waxy in. Waxy.
Hey there, Nick. You all right, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. You?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. But honestly, I'm gonna try and contain myself tonight because I'm so angry. Actually, we went into this window right, knowing we need at least 2 players, a centre back and a striker minimum. We could have done with another creative midfielder like Lingard or another striker. We can't go right into a new season, back into this season, right, with just Antonio up front when he's come back from international duty, playing 3 games in a week, right? He's an injury-prone striker. He's not even a striker, for God's sake. How can we physically go into a season I keep saying season because that's what it feels like. I honestly feel like we've got no hope because they don't ever want to put any money into the squad. It's shambolic. Why does it take? Sorry, Nick. Why does it take to the last day of the transfer window to put any sort of reasonable bidding for someone that we know full well isn't going to happen?
I'm going to answer that for you, Waxy. I'm going to answer that for you.
I don't know what the answer's going to be.
I'm going to tell you why. You see all these excuses of, you got to wait till everyone knows what they're doing, blah, 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 blah. But I'll tell you why they wait till the last day.
They've got no ambition, Nick.
Because, one, if they don't get someone, they can turn around and say, well, we tried, but we didn't have any more time. That's one of the reasons why. Number two, they think that a club let's put an analogy in here, like the last knockings of a car boot sale.
Yeah, no,
if they don't sell it now, they're not going to sell it, so they're going to just take a lower offer. That's a two. And number three, they haven't really got any ambition of getting these players anyway.
What sense, right? Do you tell me now? What sense does it have to put two £50 million bids in, allegedly £50 million bids in, for Rafinha and Calvin Phillips 2 days before the January? This ain't the summer transfer window we're talking about, right? Where players are more willing to leave. Two of Leeds' most important players. Do you really think they're going to leave Leeds in the January transfer window? I'm baffled.
I'll answer that for you too, Waxy.
They don't want them. They just want to. All they want to do is try and play the "we tried" excuse again. It's not good enough.
It looks good in the newspaper, but thank you so much for coming on, mate. I really appreciate it.
Cheers, mate. Cheers for having me.
Let's get Tom in. Tom, I know you've been waiting a while, mate. How you doing, pal?
Yeah, good, mate. How you doing?
Are you as angry as all of us?
It's weird. Obviously, I'm a bit of a younger fan. I haven't really had the multiple years of suffering, as my dad said that he's had, obviously, following it home and away for multiple years. I'm going to give 2 points, one side of bit both sides. The first point I'm going to make is my dad said to me earlier on, he reckons this is one of the best West Ham sides he's seen in multiple years. I think people do forget as well, we had our old back four out for 2 months, which last season when, happening to Liverpool, everyone fucking went wild, said no, it's unfair, and that, no one really thinks about that when it's us. So you got to think about that to a certain extent when you think we've gone downhill. We've only just getting a few of them back, but now they are back. I look at our starting 11, I think in terms of the 4 or 5 teams that are going for the top 4 as a team, I think one of the best teams as like an 11 that work together. So in that sense, I think all you really need is players that are going to come make an impact. When you're bringing on fucking Yarmolenko and Masawaki every week, wherever it is, it's just fucking rubbish. It's just dross, and they come on. There's no pace, no electricity, no nothing. So I think if that's what he wanted, there was deals to be had. In my opinion, obviously, I don't really know what goes on behind the scenes, and I'm not going to say I don't know how to run a football club, but like for example, this fucking Adama Traore to Barcelona loan deal, it's not a perfect option if you want something off the bench. If you think your starting 11 is good enough, which he clearly thinks it is, because he brought in 4 players and someone says he wants the best players to start. But only one of them fucking starts every week. 3 of them just sit on the bench. So if he wanted someone to come and make an impact or something like that, don't get me wrong, his stats ain't brilliant, but at least he brings a bit of pace and power rather than Yarmolenko, who doesn't give you goals or assists, and all he does is just stand there and do fucking 300 step overs every week.
Tom, I think the problem you got there, I think as soon as, you've seen it, like Barcelona are in a bad state at the minute. They're a bad, awful, terribly financial position, but their name has a lot of pull. Their name does have a lot of pull. That's why you're seeing the likes of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang go in there, and Memphis Depay, who's got a very bright future. Ousmane Dembele don't want to leave. And as soon as they go in for players, look, Barcelona are starting to try and find players on their level, because I think they're starting to realise what their level is, and they're trying to get back up there. But if there's a choice between West Ham and Barcelona, I think any player would choose Barcelona to be gotten, just because of the name.
Yeah, definitely.
In the next few years, that may change. But you're talking about 10 years ago, Barcelona were probably one of the greatest footballing sides we've ever seen. And that name, and that's what we've got to do, though, Tom. We've got to establish our name, and you don't get an established name by having transfer windows like this when you're in the position we are. Look, as you say there, mate, and I do, again, I appreciate the optimism. Moisey can still pull it out the bag. He can. But
Definitely.
it's going to be very, 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 very difficult now. Honestly,
is.
very, very difficult. But
I'm just gonna say one more thing, if that's all
yeah,
right.
of
Just one more
course,
thing. In terms of the blame, I'm actually going to be a bit out there. I'm going to blame Moyes to the end because, as he does say, he wants these brilliant players to come in and make a difference to his team. If you're going to do that and you want to sign a team's best player, don't do it the day before it. If you're going to do that and you want to spend 60, 70 million pound on one of these brilliant, international players, you don't do it with 2 days left because, as you see with the Burnley situation, they sold Chris Wood, who is their best player, but they had 2-3 weeks to find a replacement. If we go and sign Phillips or Rafinha or caleta-car, or wherever it is, whichever name out of the hundreds it could be that seem to be their best player, they're not going to sell them, as their star player on the day of the window ends, and then expect to find a £50 million replacement within 3 hours. So I feel like if he's gonna want these amazing players that are going to change his starting 11 at the click of the fingers, then he's got to do it on day dot straight away. And that's my only opinion.
No, that's a good point, Tom. But thank you very much. Let's get WHU 98 in because his mic was muted earlier, but let's get him in. What's your name, mate?
Brad. You're right, Nicky.
Brad. I'm good, mate. You?
Yeah, bit of a pathetic winner, obviously, but yeah, not really anything surprises us anymore. With the owners, to be honest. Yeah, I think Sullivan's actually looking to the summer where there's a lot of free agents. I think, obviously you got Tarkowski out of contract. I think he's the one that we'll go for. That's why they didn't want to spend any money, to be honest with you.
You think that's what it is? They just don't want to spend. Do you think that, knowing our history between the two clubs, between the club and the fans, they're obviously going next year. They're not going to be around for the long term now. You're in the final year of their tenure because they've already agreed a price, as we found out with Daniel Kretinsky. Whether we're 17th in the league or first in the league, the price is not going to change now. We've not been the most hospitable. Is that a word? Hospitable.
Yeah, we'll go
over the years, and we've had our our ding dongs. Do you think this is a big fuck you to us and to say well, you want us out, you want us gone, you've never been nice to us, we're not doing nothing nice for you?
Yeah, they don't give a shit, mate. I wouldn't be surprised if Rice, Bowen, any of the first team get offered over the summer, to be honest. Obviously, they just care about the money, and when they sell, they just don't want to be paying anything back.
No, I totally agree, mate. I totally agree. But listen, mate, thank you so much for waiting to come on. I really appreciate it, but I've got a lot to get through. So, but good point, mate. I really like that. Cheers, Brad.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you. Right, let's get Lucas in. Lucas has been waiting. Lucas, how you doing, mate?
Hey, Nicky, you all right?
You look like you're falling asleep there, mate.
No, I'm just incredibly depressed about what's happened today. I was angry at first, but then obviously as the hours pass, it's pretty depressing. I think it's a absolute piss take what happened today.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think look, I'm looking at you, and you're sort of reflecting my mood. I know I'm a bit upbeat, but I am.
This is show. I'm feeling a bit blue. I'm feeling a bit sad.
Yeah. But yeah. Listen, I'm the same. If you saw the last, live stream we did, I'm just got to the point now where I don't know what to do. I'm spent as a fan.
Yeah,
I'm spent as a fan, complaining. I'm spent. I've been angry. I've been sad. I've been upset. I've appealed to the better. Tried to appeal to the better nature. I've tried to, bait them out by saying, "Come and talk to us and tell us what's going on." Nothing's worked. We're still in the same positions, and it's getting worse. Even though the performances on the pitch are getting better, which I think is more inexcusable than when you're in a relegation fight.
Yeah, every window it just feels like the same knife going into you, but it just hurts you a little different every time. But I don't understand the whole thing because everyone wants to point the blame. You cannot point the blame at one person. This is like every person associated on the board, the staff, whoever's involved with transfers should be walking with their heads down completely. Like again, like I said, it was an absolute piss take. And the fact that we couldn't even at the end of the day, we all have our wish list of who we want. And I'm not the biggest Nat Phillips guy, but I would have surely taken him if he was our only option. I don't like Christian Benteke. I think he's a giant lump on the field, but I still would have taken him if he was our only option. At the end of the day, I get Moyes' his strategy or his mindset that he doesn't want to bring in anyone that's going to keep the standard or be better than our starting 11. But at some point, you just have to like bend the knee because we're one or two injuries away from fucking it all off, and it's a piss take.
No, I agree, mate. I agree. Yeah, I think at this point that, unfortunately for us, I think they just are taking the piss out of us. They know we're going to go back. They know we're going to whinge and moan on Twitter. They know even if we're marching outside the stadium, I just don't think they give a shit anymore. Unfortunately, I really don't.
What's more depressing, and actually why I'm mostly depressed about the no signings, is like now we really have to think towards the summer. And I mean, at this point in time right now, we have to cherish Jared Bowen and Declan Rice on the pitch till the summer, because this was a huge slap in the face, in my opinion, to Declan Rice, Jared Bowen, any of the first team players that have just been working so hard. Like, I feel like in a perfect world, Declan Rice doesn't want to leave, because I do think he loves the club. But how the hell do you stay at a club that just did something like that? We are playing so well, and it's just so discouraging. Like I said, every window, it's the same knife, just twists you in the gut differently every time.
No, I agree, mate. But Lucas, thank you so much for waiting, mate. I'm sure we're going to do this again. We'll have you all on again, but
thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, nice one, guy. We've got a couple more to get into. We've got about 10 minutes left, so we'll kick you out there, Lucas, and we'll get Matt in. Matt, what's going on, my friend?
Hello, mate. How you doing? All right?
Very well, thank you. What do you want to say?
Well, to be honest, mate, disappointed but not surprised. I had 0% faith. I've said it in many channels. I genuinely thought that we weren't going to get anyone in. I did not see the intention at any point. Didn't hear any noise out of the club, even though I know Moy says he wants to do it in a different way. But just nothing seemed to get out there, mate. So, I mean, to be honest, what can you really say about it? I think it's what we all deep down, I'm sure you, mate, I'm sure you deep down thought that it was going to happen as well, to be honest.
Is this the biggest slap in the face to us?
You know what? I think it is, because I've been watching all of you guys, and I don't want to repeat anything because you guys have hit the nail on the head. And like you said many times, mate, about how Lingard came in the fault in January and everything. The only way, mate, playing devil's advocate that I can think about it is that Moyes is thinking that he's worked so hard to build that unit, to build that squad, that he doesn't even seem to take chances on the own team. Because if you look at it, mate, why is Crow not playing? What's going on there? He doesn't take internal chances, so why would he take external chances? And do we need it? Of course we fucking do, because we're sick to death of seeing the same Yarmolenko Masuaku double substitution trying to win games or get a point from a game from something like that. But yeah, I mean, not to repeat everything, mate. I want to say one thing, and I want to ask you this: do you think Rob Newman was brought in to make signings, or maybe part of the reason that the GSB brought them in was to help them avoid expensive mistakes?
Oof, that's a good question, and I'll be honest with you, Matt. I really don't know the answer. The thing is, look, I'm looking at a transfer window. We brought in a guy that's meant to be sorting out all our transfer stuff, and unfortunately, there isn't a transfer come in. Now, for one, I would say that's a failure of his job, whatever the fuck his job is. I don't know how much time he's been given. Has he been given to the summer to say something or to pick someone? I don't know. Is the answer to that? But I ain't got a clue. I don't know what he does. I don't know. I don't look. I love the football club, and we do a YouTube channel. Maybe I should do a little bit more research into this sort of thing. But I ain't got a clue what he was brought in for. I ain't got a clue what he, apart from the fact that he's meant to be sorting out. What's he, head of recruitment? Something like that.
Yeah, that's it.
Was it head of recruitment for playing staff, head of recruitment for the CAF? I don't know what head of recruitment for what. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He might be the head of recruitment for the fucking, for the people that set up the goals. If that's the
Whatever.
case, then he's doing a good job. But I don't know. I don't know what his job is. I don't know what he's meant to be doing. I don't know whether this is going to end up in a disciplinary for him. I just don't know.
But I asked that, mate, because I genuinely think part of his job, because we spunk money on Haller that obviously didn't work out. Felipe Anderson also became an expensive mistake. Deals like the Simone Zaza deal was expensive. The Yarmolenko deal never worked out well, and people have forgotten it. Wasn't only his transfer, but the wages that guy's racked up. Carlos Sanchez at 75 grand a week. Everybody talks about free transfers, but free transfers often can turn out more expensive than actual transfers because of the signing on fees and the higher wages that guys put for. So part of me thinks that maybe they brought in Rob Newman, not as head of recruitment, but from the angle of trying to say, you know what, we've made 5-6 expensive mistakes that have cost multi-million pound pay packages and compensation deals. Stop it, make sure you're going through, like they call him Diligent Dave or Divering Dave or whatever you want to call it. Well, maybe Rob Newman came in for that factor. And if it's true, because I'll tell you one thing, mate, just quickly, because I know you've got a lot to go. I was effing and blinding earlier, and my daughter said to me, "What's wrong, Daddy?" I said, "Oh, it's because West Ham, they don't want to sign a striker." And I said, "Well, why don't they just go out there and sign one?" And I was like, honestly, I think you'd do a better job there, Sweetie, than they would. Because I agree with you, mate. And I was watching you guys, you with Dom and everyone was talking about the centre back. But I agree with you, mate. Striker. I think it's absolutely absurd, insane, and stinks of delusions of grandeur from our part as a club. That we think we can go through and maintain this level of success because we're like Pegasus, mate. We're flying too close to the sun,
Yeah.
And sooner or later, like we know from before, our wings are going to get burnt off and it's going to come crashing down. But I want to trust Moyes. I want to believe in Moyes. But I know we say it all this time, every year, mate. The next window is going to be massive. But like you say, mate, I think they just don't care. They're on the way out. They're not willing. It's like when you're selling an old car, mate. You're not going to stick good money after bad, are you?
No,
if you can sell your car for 800 quid, or you stick in 500 quid and you can sell it for 900, you're not going to do it, are you?
No, you're right. Thanks, Matt. I've got 2 more to get through.
Yeah,
We've got a minutes left. Thank you very much. And you.
Bye, mate.
Got 2 to choose from. Just going to John. Sorry, Connor, you're last, mate. John, how are you doing, mate?
Hey, my friend, you good?
I'm very well, thank you very much for asking. What do you want to say?
Well, first of all, how come every time we talk, we're bitching about something? Eh? It's the last time I was on with you, we were moaning.
They talk about the West Ham way. I think we found it, but yeah, go on.
Right, I just Googled something there. All right, okay, just quickly go. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Albert Einstein.
I use that saying quite a lot, to be honest. Right. Yeah.
That's our transfer. That's our substitution policy there, right? Okay. He wants
substitution policy. Yeah.
No,
you're right. No, you're correct. You're
he
correct.
keeps on bringing on Yarmolenko and Masuaku, expecting something different, and we keep getting the same old shit. Moyes said he won't bring anybody better. No, he won't bring anybody in that isn't already better. That isn't better than the team he already has. There are loads of players better than Yarmolenko. Now the problem is I know is offloading Yarmolenko with his 100 grand a week wages. That's the problem we have. Okay, but surely there was a player out there in the window, even short term, even Andy Carroll would have done just to fill the gap between now and the end of the season when Antonio is going to get lame or whatever, he's going to have pulled up. I mean, we've lost him this week again. Thank God it's the winter break. Otherwise, we're stuck with Yarmolenko or Bowen or somebody up front. You just don't do it. It's wrong. And for them yesterday, or was it the first thing this morning, for these the lead story that we've offered 50 million quid for Phillips and 50 million quid for Rafinha. You know that wasn't Moyes.
No, it's not. No, I don't
No,
think
and,
it is.
and,
either,
and I'm delighted. No, I don't really like him that much, but your man from the ex-Palace fella, Simon, what's his name on Talksport? He jumped on that strike and he was spot on, and he proved it. He read from his book. This is what happened at Birmingham. What was the name of the fella? He tried to sign
Andy
something.
Johnson.
That's it, Andy Johnson. He said, he said he tried to buy him and he never did. It's just pure lies. And I have an awful feeling now, Nicky, you're saying that they're going to sell up. They're not, mate. They're not. They're going to buy the football stadium.
No.
They're going to buy the football stadium with Krasinski, and they're going to develop all that land, and we're going to be shafted again. And I think that it was a big thing, middle finger to us, to the fans, to say, sod you, it's ours.
No, John. Do you know what? I would tend to agree with you, but I've been looking into this for a long time now, and I've got a little bit of inside preview for you, right? So, a good few years back now, we was brought into a like meetings because the London Stadium was so toxic, and they brought us influencers, as they say, influencers. I hate that word because I don't know what I'm influencing, but
I get
certainly ain't anything. But I don't know, nothing really. But I hate that word. But that's what they brand us as influencers to help them try and make the London Stadium feel like it's at home. But me and Ryan, we went in there. We give up our own time. We never got paid or nothing like that. Got no credit for it. And a lot of the stuff that you see in there now was down to a lot of them influencers, but they just didn't give us any of the credit, which is no problem. It's not an issue. But what I took that time as well as that is to ask a few questions. Now, at the time, we was under sort of like embargoes. We weren't allowed to talk about it. But I'll be honest with you, so much time's gone past that I don't mind talking about it now. And one of the questions I asked was, what are the plans for the stadium? Can we change the stadium? Can we develop the stadium? Can we square off the ends and all that sort of stuff? And what I got is, we have to ask permission. And then I said, well, what's the chances of us buying a stadium? And Karen Brady said to me, to my face, now, listen, they're known to be liars, but this is what she said. She says the stadium loses so much money that they will eventually give it to us for free. They had no interest in buying it, but they said it loses so much money, and we're so confident about getting a stadium that eventually they'll just hand over the keys to us because it's going to be that much of a drain on us. Now, that was before Sadiq Khan. So it must have been Johnson, to be quite honest with you, in charge at the time. But then obviously Sadiq Khan come in, and I think he stuck his heels in a little bit in regards to the stadium, because I think it was their Tory friends that were giving them a little bit of sort of a favour, But Sadiq Khan come in and stuck his heels in. But they are still very confident that stadium will be given for nothing. And I think what they've done now is there's already a price agreed. They don't give a shit about the land anymore because there's already a price agreed for the club. But I believe that Krasinski would be privy to the information that eventually, I think the LLDC have a season to exist next year, and they've got to find someone to run the stadium. So I wouldn't be surprised if the keys were handed over to Krasinski next year.
Oh, but that means GSB are leaving?
I believe they are leaving, yeah.
Because they're poison. I'd love to get over for Watford because that place is going to be toxic.
I hope not, John. If I'm honest with you, I said this on my stream. There are times and places to protest, but I don't think it does. I think because of what Moyes has done, because of what the team have done, and they've done us very, very proud. Not the board. No. They've never done us proud.
I've got no problem with Moyes until this window and we've done nothing. I mean, he had all that money, and I know he had a sheet of paper and he wanted all these players, like that Canadian fella. He wants that Canadian fella that's not available until the summer.
David,
Jonathan
David.
I know that he's wanted. There's another couple. I mean, that caleta-car wasn't available to us, but now they were trying to do a deal to get him in, But I think that was just to appease us. They were pushing that. But for that,
Look, I heard a rumor from ex West Ham employee in the last couple of hours that, well, it ain't a rumor. He told me it was fact that the reason that the caleta-car deal didn't get over the line is because they wanted 15 million quid up front, and Moisey wanted to, the board wanted to loan him.
And that's this is what I'm on about. And yet they're willing to offer 50 million quid at the drop of a hat for each for a Leeds player. 2 Leeds players, 50 million quid, drop of a hat, and they won't pay 15 million. I heard it was £2 million was the arguing, and they were arguing a toss. But as you say, they want a loan. They want to try before they do.
It all looks good in the newspaper, mate. But thank you very much for joining us, mate.
We're getting shafted, Nicky. You know it.
Yeah, I do know it, John. But thank you very much.
Right, love you, man. Talk to you soon. Thanks again.
And again, mate, thank you. Let's get our last guest in tonight, Connor. What do you want to say, pal?
How you doing, Nicky, man? Yeah, look, I'll leave it short and sweet. I know it's late and all that, but I think, I've had to, I've been at work all day and, reading on my phone every hour, checking into the news and all that, and, half expecting nothing, but always I hope there is something. And, there's nothing more that you could say, only it's a disgrace. I've lost count of how many windows, forget years, just windows alone, that we haven't brought in a striker. We've only had one maybe half decent window in the last few years. That was the Haller and, at Felipe Anderson summer, where, you're looking at teams, obviously like Watford and all them need to sign players because they're in a relegation battle. It's vitally important you stay in the league no matter who you are. But we're literally going for top 4. We're in Europe and we haven't actually signed anyone, forget a striker. It is literally embarrassing. Yeah. And, the question's been asked tonight, board, is it the owners? The owners have taken a lot of blame over the last years, and I think a lot of this is down to them as well. But I think Moyes has to take some blame here. You can only go so long with, you can have a list of transfer targets that you want, but eventually you've got to just pick one. It doesn't take 3 years to get a signing. It shows the lack of ambition, as we said earlier, the kick in the teeth to the likes of Rice, Bowen, and this team. The fact we've actually seen it this season as well with them. We've seen how far they can go, and now we need something else to push on. And who wants a sign? And obviously, signing, we'll all be happy with the summer if we can make a sign or two. But we're about at this stage, I think, about 5 or 6 signings behind what we should already be on. We might not even be in Europe next season. What are we going to do then? We might lose players. Where do we go from there then? And all this progress would be for nothing. So, it's really frustrating. As I said, no sign at all feels like a joke, even knowing West Ham and their signings. And, I know United and Arsenal didn't strengthen, but, Spurs did. And we're already, more games played than the likes of them. We got Wolves creeping behind us. There's every game is tough in the Premier League. We're not going to all win the next loads of games this season as well. So, I had hope before this window opened if we sign players. That lessened obviously with the last few results, but now it's even lessened more, and it already was a bit pessimistic. So look, we got to be positive, but it's really disappointing.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, I done a poll on Twitter earlier, funny enough, and this is very interesting.
Yeah.
So I put a poll out earlier. Who gets the blame? Bold is the majority, but it's not by as many as you think. Over 1,000 votes, 70% say the board and 30% say Moyes. So that is it's closer than I thought it would be, to be quite honest with you. There's a lot of people saying, but you're totally right. It was an absolute chance to show intent. I honestly think this is a fuck you from the board. This is because this, whatever you say about Golden Sully, they've always done business. It might be bad business and it might be, the cheap options and all that, but they've always done some sort of business. This is the first window, I believe. Might be wrong if someone wants to correct me, but I'm going back in the back of my head. This is the first window where we've done nothing.
Yeah, even selling players, I know obviously we don't want to sell players, but I don't even, there was no news at all about us realistically selling or buying anyone.
No, that's it. And they've done absolutely nothing. This is the first window we've ever done that. You always say, hold on. And I think it's the ball who see the end in sight now. You know, the lights at the end of the tunnel for them in terms of that. We've had a terrible relationship with them over the past sort of, especially the last 5, 6, 7 years. And I think there's like, they've done the same thing to Birmingham. It's them digging their heels in and say, well, fuck you. You know, I think in their heart of hearts, they believe that they've tried. But when you look in the terms of football and what other people do and the way people conduct their business, they haven't. You know, I think they do believe that they've tried their best, but let's be honest, there's so much more that they could have given. Just ask, you know, Spurs. Just ask, you know, fucking even the likes of Burnley and all of that sort of thing. They lost a striker and they went and got one today. You know,
Yeah, it doesn't take that long to get, you know, a replacement for Hilaire, and you know, it doesn't take even someone with half a brain to realize that we need players. You know, any person would know that, and you know, we seen what's, you know, even one injury can do. You know, we see what happened when, you know, you've got like to Diop and Dawson. We all said, look, they'll come in, they've been playing well in the Europa League, but Zuma went out, they came back in, and I'd say give it 2 games, and they were absolutely horrific. You know, we're bringing on the likes of Masuaku, and I think this is an important point actually, because I know we didn't sign a lot of any players in this window, but this is a big chance. You know, Moyes has got to work what he's got now, and the likes of the youngsters, you know, Occo Flex and stuff in there. If Zuma gets, God forbid, injured again, you know, got Elisa, these sort of players have got to be coming in. You know, why is he bringing on Yarmolenko as well? You know, the last game when we've got youngsters, as Dan actually I've seen him say as well, you know, who are top of their under-23 league, whatever it is, you know, they're the future West Ham, not Yarmolenko. But, you know, we shouldn't have to be using our youngsters. You know, we should have not having to pressure them to come in. We should be having the signings coming in. And, you know, we're back in that situation again where we can't kick on, which is, you know,
I mean, unless there's someone absolutely outstanding, and obviously with the youngsters, Moyes doesn't think they're ready because we've absolutely got fucking no one, and he's never brought one of them on. But he obviously doesn't trust them. He obviously doesn't think they're ready. You know, them youngsters should be you should at least have 2, 3 players before them if you don't think they're ready to come before them. And we've got one, and that's pushing it. And he's not even a striker. So yeah, I totally agree, mate. Look, listen, it's been very transfer heavy tonight, and I do really thank you all, everyone that's contributed tonight. I think it's been a fantastic show, and I'm going to do this quite regular, to be quite honest with you. I think this is a good weekly edition. But Connor, thank you so much for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it.
So thanks, Nicky. Yeah, I'll be over at Watford next game anyway, so hope to see you over there, man.
I'll see you there, my friend. I'll see you there. But thank you so much for coming on, and thank you to everyone that's contributed tonight. Fantastic show. I really loved it. There's a lot of you watching as well, very late on a fucking Tuesday, and I know you've all got work tomorrow. But listen, I'm not even going to say come on you Irons, because I can't be asked, to be quite honest with you. But hopefully, look, let's get to the next game. Let's get the FA Cup out of the way, and we'll see how we go. But that's me signing off. If you're new around here, subscribe, and I'll catch you later.